Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Our top stories tonight. Final preparations are being made for the one-man chief executive election tomorrow. Fears of a potential COVID outbreak at a Yuen Long restaurant after 4 diners who do not know each other all contract the virus. And at least 22 people were killed by a suspected gas explosion in Cuba. There may be only one candidate, but electoral officials are going all out to make final preparations for the chief executive election tomorrow. Extra manpower has been assigned for the polls, while at least 6 people will cast their ballots at a special voting station at Penny's Bay. Chloe Feng reports.
While Carrie Lam will not run for the chief executive election tomorrow, she still had to make sure everything is ready for the polls, held every 5 years. Lam paid a visit to the main polling station at Wan Chai's Convention and Exhibition Center today. I came to express my support to all of you, Lam told electoral staff, adding she was fully confident that the election will go ahead smoothly. Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Minister Eric Tam and Electoral Affairs Commission Chief Barnabas Fong joined Lam for the final inspection. Meeting the press afterwards, Fong said there will be twice the number of vote-counting staff tomorrow, after the election committee, the exclusive group empowered to select the city's leader, was expanded from 1,200 to 1,500. The election committee members were also advised to arrive in their designated time slots to avoid overcrowding. A raft of COVID measures have also been put in place.
If someone is detected to have a high temperature, and by that we mean about 38 degrees Celsius, they will be asked to use a special passage to access the special bulletin booth. This special access is separate from the bulk of the other easy members.
A remote polling station was also set up at Penny's Bay Quarantine Center, and Fong revealed that at least 6 election committee members have opted to cast their ballots there. They have until 10:30 a.m. to vote, as staff needed extra time to bring their ballots back to Wan Chai. Police, meanwhile, continue to ramp up security on the eve of the election. Elite officers, including those from the Counter-Terrorism Response Unit and the Railway Response Team, have been conducting high-profile patrols around the city today. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Infectious disease expert Yuen Long believes it's time to scrap the flight suspension mechanism while allowing arrivals to quarantine at home. But health officials were quick to shoot down his idea. Macy Mok reports.
With the 5th COVID wave seemingly over, infectious disease expert Yuen Long suggested the government drop its flight suspension mechanism, which has caused much dismay to travelers and airlines. The Hong Kong University professor felt that the disruptive measure provides little help to guard against imported cases. Hong also believed it's time to adjust inbound quarantine rules.
For overseas returnees, they should be allowed to quarantine at home, provided that they have already received 3 doses of the vaccine. And I think that is really reasonable and feasible to quarantine at home for 7 days. But at the same time, you need to wear a tracer so that you could be contacted straight away if you are tested positive.
Quarantine can be scrapped altogether if 90% of Hong Kong's population has received 3 shots of the COVID vaccine, he added. But Albert Au of the Center for Health Protection poured cold water on the idea. He said it is very important for travelers to quarantine in hotels to prevent COVID variants from entering the community. Authorities also reported 278 COVID cases today, 18 of which were imported. They also revealed a 36-year-old woman who arrived from Canada last Saturday had tested positive for BA.2.12, an Omicron subvariant. 2 previous returnees from the United States have also been found with another variant, BA.2.12.1. The hospital authorities said there were no additional COVID-related deaths in the past 24 hours. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Authorities are on high alert after a potential COVID cluster has emerged at a Chinese yum cha restaurant in Yuen Long. 4 customers who did not know each other tested positive after visiting Peony Golden Court on Sai Ching Street. While they all visited between 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. last Sunday, they were seated at different areas. Around 190 customers who visited the restaurant at that time have been ordered to conduct mandatory tests. None of the 50 staff at the restaurant have tested positive, but they will need to conduct daily RAT tests. The outbreak came amid a further relaxation of social distancing measures, which allows up to 8 diners to be seated together. 8 people who were convicted of rioting in Wan Chai during the anti-government protests in 2019 have been jailed between 33 and 37 months. 3 teenagers were sent to a training center. Macy Mock has more.
Tens of thousands of protesters swarmed the streets of Hong Kong on October 6, 2019, a day after the government invoked emergency powers to ban face coverings in the public. The demonstrations in Causeway Bay and Wan Chai became violent at times, with police firing tear gas to contain the crowds. Numerous arrests were made that day, and 11 people aged 18 to 32 were later convicted of rioting and sentenced at district court today. District Judge Josiah Lam said the size of the riot was not small, with about 500 participants, adding patrol bombs were hurled. He noticed none of the defendants had used violence, but did not take any action to stop the acts either, suggesting they had condoned the use of force. They also became part of the enterprise by wearing protest-related equipment. The judge insisted rioting is a serious offense, and all participants, whether they were instigators or just tagging along, must receive deterrent sentences. He sentenced 8 adult defendants 39 months each for rioting, with various reductions for their clean backgrounds, contribution to society, and young age. Several others were given additional time for either breaching the anti-mask law or possessing offensive weapons. 3 teenage defendants aged 18 and 19 were sent to a training center. The group were part of 26 protesters who were arrested near Canal Road flyover that day. 5 were earlier acquitted of rioting, although the Department of Justice has launched an appeal. The remaining 10 will go on trial in December. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
2 women were found dead in Macau's MGM Cotai Hotel, with police suspecting that foul play was involved. Police rushed to the scene after receiving a report at around 1 a.m. The 2 naked bodies were found on the floor with strangulation marks on their necks. Officers believe that the 2 were strangled with a bathrobe belt. They also suspect that someone had cleaned up the scene, as all identification documents and belongings were missing. Overseas, at least 22 people were killed and dozens more injured after an explosion rocked an iconic hotel in the Cuban capital of Havana. Authorities believed a gas leak was to blame, and no foreigners were hurt. Large plumes of black smoke billowed from Hotel Saratoga in Havana. A suspected gas leak has reduced the iconic building in the heart of the Cuban capital into rubble, its 19th century facade destroyed. Dozens of people were killed or injured, but officials said no foreigners were hurt. That's because the 5-star hotel had been undergoing renovations and was not taking in guests. Only workers were inside the building when the blast took place, just days before it is set to welcome visitors again for the first time in 2 years. The explosion in Old Havana shocked hundreds of local residents and tourists, with many hovering around the police cordon, trying to piece together whatever information they could find. President Miguel Diaz-Canel rushed to the scene to survey the damage and monitor rescue operations. He quickly allayed fears of a bomb or a planned attack, labeling the tragedy as an unfortunate accident. But the powerful blast rocked a nearby school, where more than a dozen of the over 300 students were said to be injured. Nearby government structures were also sealed off, including the National Capitol building, which is around 300 meters away. Built in 1880, the luxury neoclassical style architecture was remodeled into a 96-room hotel in 2005. It has since been a popular destination among celebrities and became a symbol of Cuba's opening up. Ukrainian forces claim that a fresh round of Russian attack has jeopardized evacuation efforts at a besieged steel plant. 11 children were among an extra 50 civilians evacuated from the Azovstal factory in Mariupol yesterday. Russia has announced a 3-day daytime ceasefire at the plant, but Ukrainian authorities claimed that fighting still broke out. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has rejected further territorial concessions in exchange for a ceasefire with Russia. Russian leader Vladimir Putin was said to be eyeing a land corridor extending from annexed Crimea to a breakaway region in Moldova. The United States has beat expectations to add 428,000 jobs last month. A surge in manufacturing demand spearheaded hiring activities.
The backbone of our recovery is manufacturing. Manufacturing employment is up in America, 545,000 jobs since I took office, the largest 15-month gain since 1985. We've got to up our game. It's a simple proposition. If we do, everybody's going to win.
Despite rapid job growth and low unemployment, the labor force participation rate fell 0.2% last month. That means only 62.2% of working-age Americans are either working or actively looking for work. Despite the net surplus in April, there were still 1.2 million less jobs in America compared with pre-pandemic levels. And on to the weather now. Tomorrow will be mainly cloudy with a few showers. Temperatures range between 24 and 28 degrees. Sunny intervals on Monday, but was followed by a wet week ahead. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Saturday night. Join us for more updates at 11:30. I'm Sarah Wong. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and take care.